like never before. Search around, sky or ground, you never know what's in store. Explore, explore, explore. Explore, explore, explore.
Hey, fellow explorers! It's me, Xsploor, and guess what? Today we're talking about grammar. You know what grammar is? Like nouns and verbs and adverbs and adjectives and all kinds of cool things that sometimes sound very confusing and sometimes very intimidating. But I'm going to try to make them a lot less intimidating and make it a lot easier to understand what each one is. So stick around and I'll tell you all about it. Hey, fellow explorers, we are back, and the first thing we're going to talk about are nouns. Now, nouns are perhaps the simplest thing to understand about grammar because it's very basic. It's a person, a place, or a thing. What's a person? Well, it could be an engineer, a gamer, your mom, your dad. It could be Joe or Bob or Bill. It can be anyone. It could be your boss. It could be your teacher. It could be your friend. Those are all people, and those are all nouns. And what else could it be? Well, it could be a place. A place would be like a home, or the country, or a city, or Pittsburgh, or Russia. It could be proper names and proper places. That is a person or a place, and what's a thing? I think it's any object. For example, a ball, or a tree, or it could be a house or dirt. It could be also seasons, for example, summer or winter or spring. Those are things that you can't touch, but they are there. It can also be a concept, like a thought. A thought is a noun because it's a thing, even though you can't really touch it. So person, place, or thing are all nouns, and that's the very easiest thing to understand. But then what if you wanted to say, like, you know, here is something that belongs to me, or I am going there. Well, me and I are also forms of nouns, but they're called pronouns. Pronoun is something a word used to replace a noun. For example, if I say I am walking there, the I is a pronoun, because otherwise I would say, like, I wouldn't say Xsploor walks there, I would say I walk there, because that just sounds silly. And also, if you have a large name and you want to keep repeating that name over and over again, it'd be just a whole mouthful of words. So you keep saying I, or you, or we, or they, or he, or she. Those are all pronouns. Also, if you have an object, you say, like, there's the ball. That's fine, but what if you don't know what that thing is? You say, well, there it is. It would be a pronoun used for the object. So it is also a pronoun. So these are simple things, pronouns and nouns. And then you have what are called adjectives. And what is an adjective? An adjective is something used to describe a noun. Like, for example, you say, the ball is round. The ground is hard. The sky is blue. The knife is sharp. Those are all adjectives used to describe the noun. What about something called a preposition? And what's a preposition? A preposition is a word that comes before or after an object, and an object is usually the noun or pronoun of a sentence. For example, and usually it'll describe direction, and like I say, I am walking to the store. The word to is the preposition. Also, they'll describe location. Say, I am at the store. The word at is the preposition. And also time. Like, I will be at the store by 3 p.m. The word by is the preposition. It can also introduce something. The store is full of toys. The word of describes what's in the store, and that is a preposition. So a preposition describes the object, which is a noun or pronoun, and gives you location, direction, time, or introduction. Now, let's talk about verbs coming up next. All right, we're back, and we're going to talk about verbs now. So what is a verb? Well, normally, for most things you think about, verb is an action word, like I'm going to walk, or I will talk, or I am going to fly, or jump, or eat, or breathe. Those are all action words, and those are all verbs. But a verb can also do something that you may not be aware of. It can also talk about the state of being. For example, the mountain has existed for millions of years. The word exist is a verb, but it's a verb that tells about a state of being. Or for example, the caterpillar became a butterfly. The word became is a state of being. Or the Statue of Liberty has stood the test of time. Stood is the state of being. It can also represent an occurrence. For example, cold air happened overnight. Or the rain came about suddenly. The sun appeared to be bright. So these things are all occurrences, and they're all verbs. So you have a verb is basically an action word. It can also be a state of being or an occurrence. Another thing about a verb is that there are past and present forms of the verb. They're called tenses. They're the present, the past, and the future. Those are all tenses. The present tense is I walk. The past tense is I walked. And the future tense is I will walk. But there's also a thing called participles, or parts. There are 4 parts of a verb. There is the present participle, the past, and the past participle. And what are those? So the present is just the verb itself you would find in the dictionary. Like I said, again, using the word walk. Walk is the verb, that's the present. The present participle is am walking. For example, I am walking. The past would be walked, and the past participle will be has walked. So you use ing for walking and ed for walked. So that makes the ing makes it present participle, and the ed makes it past participle. So to make something a past in the verb, you add the word ed normally. Now, there are 2 types of verbs called regular and irregular. So a regular verb is you add the ed and it makes it the past form. So jumped, walked, skipped, talked, those are all regular forms of the verb because they end in ed when they talk about the past. But some words, for example, if I say fly, I flew, right? You say I flew, you don't say I flied, you say I flew. Or you talk about run, you don't say I runned, you say I ran. So the past form is not ed, that's an irregular verb. So an irregular verb doesn't end in ed, it ends in a different form of the word. So that's an irregular verb. So now you know the difference between a regular verb and an irregular verb. And again, that depends on if you're using past, the present, or the future tenses that I already mentioned, okay? So let's go and talk about adverbs. Now an adverb actually modifies a verb. So for example, I say I walked quickly, or I spoke loudly, or I ate hastily. These are things that modify the verb, that defines exactly how the verb happens. Normally, the way you make an adverb is you just stick an ly at the end of what's called an adjective. You stick an ly at the end of it, right? Remember adjective, they describe nouns, so you stick an ly at the end of the adjective, and you get an adverb. So loudly, quickly, sharply, these are all, if you just say loud, quick, and sharp, those are adjectives, but you take the ly and they become adverbs. But some adverbs though, for example, they don't go that way. If you say often or just, for example, I often run, or I'll soon jump. Those are adverbs modifying the verb, but they're not ly adverbs. So again, just, soon, well, often, those are all types of adverbs. And also, if you ask a question like how, when, where, or why, the words how, when, where, or why, like how do I go there? When will I be there? Why am I here? Those words are actually adverbs. How, when, where, and why are adverbs. So when you ask a question, you're using an adverb. So now you know about adverbs and verbs. So let's talk about predicates. Well, we are back and we're going to talk about predicates, but before that, let's talk about actually a sentence structure. A sentence contains 2 things, a subject and a verb, and the subject being a noun actually. So basically a sentence contains a noun and a verb. So what is a predicate? A predicate, it contains a verb and it's a part of the sentence that links the verb to the subject, tells what the subject is about. So for example, if I say Sally cooked dinner, Sally would be the subject, she's the noun, and cooked dinner is the predicate. It has the verb and it tells what the subject is doing. So the predicate tells what the subject is doing. So if I say I walked home, I would be the subject and walked home would be the predicate. Walked home tells you what I am doing. Or if I say the boat sailed under the bridge. Now there's a tricky one because boat and bridge are both nouns. So which one would be the subject? Well, to find out the subject of a sentence, you want to find out what the verb attaches itself to. So the verb is the word sailed. The boat sailed under the bridge. Is the bridge going to sail? A bridge doesn't go anywhere. The bridge is staying there. So the bridge isn't sailing. The boat is sailing. So if the boat is sailing, that means the boat is the noun to focus on as the subject. So in that case, the boat is the subject and sailed under the bridge is the predicate. And now you know how to break up a sentence. But you also have a thing called a linking verb. Now what's a linking verb? A linking verb is a non-action verb that links the subject to the predicate. Now what would that be? For example, the most common form of linking verb is the form of the word to be, which is, am, are, was, were, been, or being. Those are all forms of the verb to be, and those link. Now again, they're non-action. It means, like, for example, if I say, she is great, she looks happy. So she would be the subject, and is great or looks happy would be the predicate. And you also have something I want to talk about called a contraction. Now, why do I mention a contraction? Because a contraction can confuse you when trying to figure out the predicate. For example, if I say, I'm here. I'm here. Now, what is the subject and what is the verb? Well, the subject is I, right? But the verb is like you say, I'm here. Here is not a verb. So where is the verb? Well, actually, I'm is a contraction. It's the word I, two words. I am here. So I would be the noun, the pronoun, the subject. Am would be the verb, and here, so am here would be the predicate. So I am here. I is the subject, and am here is the predicate. But if I say I'm here, or there, around, right? That's it. So I'm, there, she'll, they've, we're. Those are all contractions. Don't, do not. These are contraction words. These are words that are two words put together, and they take out normally one letter to contract them together. And that one letter is replaced by what's called an apostrophe. It's a little tick mark that goes right in between the words, the letters. And that apostrophe lets you know that it's a contraction word. So contractions are confusing, but they are normally put together two words, often a noun or a pronoun, usually a pronoun, and a verb. And that together will confuse you because if you're trying to find out the predicate from the subject, you got to pull out that contraction word to make it two whole words, and then you have your predicate and your subject. Now you know. And we're going to talk next about a helping verb. Now, what's a helping verb? You'll find out soon. All right, we're back and we're talking about helping verb. Now, what is a helping verb? A helping verb is something that adds extra meaning or context or timing to a verb. For example, if I say leave now, the word leave is a verb. If I say you must leave now, the word must is a helping verb. It gives extra meaning and context to when you have to leave. You have to leave right now. You must leave now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Or also it can lead to a question. For example, if I say you like candy, the word like is the verb. But if I ask do you like candy, the word do is the helping verb to like. Do you like candy makes it a question. A helping verb can also indicate the tense of a verb. For example, like past tense or present tense or future tense. Like if I say you will walk or you have walked, right? The word will, in terms of will walked, and the word have and have walked are both the helping verbs. But have walked means it's the past, right? You have walked. Will walk means it's the future. You will walk. So the helping verbs indicate what tense of the verb you're going to use. Is it past, present, or future? So helping verbs are nice little verbs that add things to it. They're not linking verbs. They're different from linking verbs. Remember, a linking verb links a verb to a subject. A helping verb helps to add context to the verb or maybe turn it into a question or indicate the tense of it. So now you know. And that is our grammar lesson for today. We talked about a lot of different things in grammar. The quick lesson, grammar, English is sometimes can be a very confusing language. For example, running is a verb, but running can also be a noun. For example, you can turn verbs into nouns by saying, I am running, but if you talk about running, like running is a great sport, running as a sport is a noun. But running is like I'm running here is a verb, so that can be confusing. Or for example, you can turn a noun into a verb, the other way around. Like I'm building a wall. The wall is a noun, but you say I walled it up. Walled is a verb. So nouns can become verbs and verbs can become nouns. So the English language can be very confusing sometimes. But it's still a wonderful language, and if you just focus on the basic grammar, you'll get down 90% of it. There's some strange things here and there, but mostly you can figure it all out with just what I told you today. So now that we're all done, let's relax and quickly get all of our system. Let's do the Xsploor roar. How do we do that? We form the X in our chest for explore, and then we let it all out. Ready? Explore! Always feels good. All right, guys. I'll see you next week, and remember my name? It's Xsploor. How do you spell it? Xsploor. Xsploor. See you guys next week.
Now once more with Xsploor, we've done learning galore. Explore, explore, explore.
Hey fellow explorers, I need subscribers to stay on the air. So please hit that subscribe button down below. Thank you. See you next time, fellow explorers. Take care.